What's up, guys? So I wanted to talk about a couple things. Bear with me. Yes, this may be an extended time type of deal. So if you got time, stay to the end of this video and just listen to some of this information. I think it's really important for us as we look at the stuff that's going on, including with the files and ways to combat the system. I wrote some key points down here, and I'm not gonna like sit here and bore you to death by reading it all, but I'm hoping not to say a ton and bore you to death with that. But I'm just gonna jump right in. Right now, I've had some conversations. I've also been a witness to a lot of stuff. I've seen some miracles take place. And one of the main things is with disabilities in the machine right now. And the machine being the system. Take, for example, ADHD. A few years ago, I seen it start to explode like crazy. And it became kind of like a trend. And then we started seeing all this stuff about depression, anxiety, that type of deal. I suffered it with it myself, going through many years of therapy, including PTSD. And there's just the word disability. In all honesty, it should really make us question. That word disability, it's right in the beginning. Being disabled, an inability to do things, right? And we've been kind of led to believe that. I have a fiance that has ADHD, and I do too. Many people go undiagnosed with it, and they'll go their entire lives, okay, not knowing that they have ADHD. Now, those same people, you might know some of them. Maybe they've been a sniper in the military before. There's so many different things you could look at. Even investigators have ADHD. For the simple fact, you could go all across social media and you will find videos of people doing certain things talking about ADHD. Me and my fiance were talking on the road today on a drive, and she said, you know how you can sometimes hyper focus on things like a bag is, we drive through the farmlands and the farmer areas, back roads, things like that. And she's like, oh, take for example, I could see a plastic bag just, floating across the fields, and that she could just zero in on it and stare at it. Now, we've had some Nerf wars at my house, which, mind you, helped me a ton because I've been sick, but I sweated it out playing Nerf wars with my kids. She shot me in the eye, and I was in full motion, okay? And she had it locked to a T, not once, but multiple times now. Once in the eye, multiple times in the head and the neck. And it got me thinking, she was led to believe ADHD was a disability. And she was going on that path with thinking it was something horrible, like it was something bad. And it's that word disability. Because once you get told you have something, immediately it's the thought process, well, I'm screwed. You know what I mean? I got issues. What if we were to look at this stuff as a skill and not as a disability? What if that word disability and with mental disorders was just a key so that you would never reach your full potential? A lot of you guys that watch my podcast like NF, the rapper, right? NF has stated multiple times in his music that he has OCD. Now, with his OCD and him being a rapper, he has been able to zero in and focus so immensely on his music and his lyricism that he has, we can say he's perfected it. Okay. And if we looked at it as, and there's fans that believe he has a disability, even though his OCD led him to get where he is. And a lot of people don't look at it that way, which is, it's mind boggling because we're so blinded by debilitating words that we can't reach our full potentials. And I think that that's a part of the system we can fight, right? If we were to actually look in depth at why there are particular words put in place that degrade us, that break us down. And that is a clear example. A sniper can go and shoot someone in motion and get the kill. And there's potential that they had ADHD. See what I'm saying? We seen, I think it was a movie, Rain Man, all right, where this guy had a mental disability. Sure, there were some other issues and stuff like that. But he was able to go to a casino, I think it was with Tom Cruise, and be able to count cards and figure all this stuff out, right? That's a skill. Like, a normal, regular, everyday person probably couldn't figure this stuff out. You know, not on their own. But as long as we're medicated, as long as we're focusing on it as debilitating, as it breaking us down, as it's something bad, we will never be able to install that skill that we got and implement it into other things. So my fiance's problem is she had a very difficult time multitasking. And during the course of me battling, saying, because she would always say I have ADHD, and I'm like, nah, you know, and it took some time to finally get it called out and situated. But since I went so long with being undiagnosed, I went from childhood to learning to implement that skill into my life, that I was able to learn how to multitask and do certain things because I did not have that to focus on it. I just didn't have it. Therefore, proving that it is possible. It is possible with any disability you have to incorporate somehow. We have videos out there where all of us can see where there are people with no limbs, no arms. There's a rapper out there with no arms. There is people with no arms that are painting using their feet. Our brain is so complex that God created in a certain way that he would never give us something we can't handle. He made us so perfectly that we can evolve into where we're supposed to be, our purpose and things like that. But we allow certain things that the system created to just degrade us from reaching that purpose and break us down. And it's little things like that that will break us down from noticing other things that are going on around us. Okay, I mentioned to some of you guys about what I noticed at Walmart, and then my pastor got back to me with some other information, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but I love you, Dan. One of the things I noticed with like social media is we can't say certain words. Okay, so you have people doing videos where they'll make a different word just to get their video out there, whether it be because they want to make money off of it, views, and they're worried about that. The main purpose should be for us to all help each other out and not worry about or be concerned with how much money we're going to make off of it. If you're getting shadow banned, there's a good likelihood that either you're doing something bad or you're doing something bad to them, right? But I would encourage people to not refrain from using the exact words. You can go on Google and someone could get in a car accident. You Google their name and it plasters everywhere. If you make a video about Mark Zuckerberg, okay, and you get shadow banned, and then you go to Google and you look up Mark Zuckerberg, there's a good chance your video is not going to pop up because it got shadow banned. We know that. Or it might because other people shared it. Now, if you change his name to something else and you typed in his name, you're definitely not going to find your video where you were trying to spread some truth. Like, people can't Google it. Not everyone has Facebook or social media. There are people that rely strictly on Google. You know what I mean? So I would encourage people to just stop doing that and speak the truth. 100% use the words, use the names. Since September 11, we have systematically been kicked down on certain phrases and things that we can no longer say because it incites fear. So they told us, and things like that. You've seen in anger management how Adam Sandler acted on the plane, right? All these things are just put in place to instill fear so that you would conform to the direction that they want you to go. And I'm telling you, don't do it. Mark Zuckerberg was on that list. If you're talking about the stuff that's going on this list, okay, if there's information that they want you to get out, it's going to get through. If there's information that they don't want you to get out, the man that's on the list controls your social media. And you're still actively using it like crazy while you're screaming, we need to help these kids and no one's helping them. It doesn't make sense. You're conforming in some ways and still actively participating in that system. They control all this. How is this that I'm saying vital enough to make sense to the willing? Videos are already surfacing showing music and movies to commercials, showing us they've been mocking us with the info disguised as something else or entertainment. I got sent a video today by a good friend of mine, and it showed an old song music video where kids were falling into a meat grinder. Okay? Now that video, I don't know how far it's gone. I don't know if it started getting shadow banned or what. Because I think it would be more popular than this. But that should tell you. They shove the stuff in their face. You conform. You change your way a little bit according to the way they want you to. And then they'll put the truth in your face. But because you're so far distracted. You're so far distracted and conforming that the system just continues to win. We're told that our war's not against flesh and blood. That we have 1 million people out there. I counted. I saw how it's popular. The statistics. We have 1 million people out there doing these videos about how they're going to go take action. But most of them are just profiting off of the videos. We don't see an uprising. We don't see nothing. And I'll tell you, a good portion of them, they don't believe in Jesus Christ. It's not that they believe in our battle not being against flesh and evil, because most of their videos are talking about going to commit harm and going to fight, but they're not doing a damn thing about it except profiting off of you because they learned off of the marketing that has been instilled in our brain to just profit off of each other. That's how they took those kids. Another example of how they tear us down. We know that strength can heal a lot of things. A lot of things. I have 2 very good friends of mine. One of them that sent me that video. I talked about the music video. And another one. Both of them had cancer. Both of them had cancer. They both fought it. They had tons of prayer. They were lifted up. Okay, as much as possible. And they fought it off with their strength, the strength that they were given. But that word cancer is such a dangerous word, just like disabilities. The second you hear cancer, you think it's a death sentence, even though we have tons of survivors. But with fear, it breaks down your body just like depression does. Just like depression. Why do you think do not fear is in the Bible so many times? Because God knows that word fear can tear us to shreds. It can literally kill us. People can get so scared that they can have a heart attack and die. Let that sink in. I'm not telling you to be out there stupid. There's brave and there's stupid. But what I am telling you is, not everything's a death sentence. Not everything's a disability. You've got to fight the system this way. The system wasn't created by man. It was created by an entity. by the devil. And the more we listen to it, and the more we don't try to fight that system, the more we lose. Even Jesus said, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. He said that out loud for a reason, because it wasn't against flesh and blood. Hope you guys have a great night. God bless.